Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me directly, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below, your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Reach out to me directly with your questions at tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Today, in red gold, ever rose red gold, we're discussing the Rolex Oyster Perpetual Cosmograph Daytona, reference 116515LN, ceramic bezel, red gold case, alligator leather strap, a versatile and handsome Rolex sport complication. 40 millimeters in diameter, the timepiece measures a reasonable 12.3 millimeters thick, and from lug tip to lug tip, 47.6 millimeters with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. We'll throw it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, and you can see the timepiece wears quite easily. A little bit more formal on the strap than on the full bracelet. You can see it sits evenly and comfortably, narrow enough across the wrist that you could wear this on a 13.5 centimeter circumference wrist, and low enough on the wrist that you could easily wear it with a dress cuff or a tight sleeve. The timepiece wears flat, flush, and comfortable, and because it is 100 meters water resistant, automatic, and loomed, throw it on a water resistant strap and this becomes your sports watch as well as your dress chronograph. Let's take a quick look at the hardware and the software. Of course, you don't want to get this alligator leather strap wet. It's nicely made for you by Rolex itself. Large rectangular scale alligator leather, semi-gloss finish, folded edges, monotone stitch. You can see that the watch features a little bit of a revetment or a recess with an end link profile that's been fit to create a highly integrated look, or the junction between the case and the strap almost entirely flush with very little daylight visible, designed to create the same coherence and integration you get with a Rolex factory bracelet, but there is no impediment to the movement of the strap. The clasp, as you can see internally, features several perforations, and the anchor point can be changed. With your strap tool, you've got 5 different apertures that have been punched in, so you can change the anchoring point of the strap to fine-tune the fit. And then there is a dual locking mechanism. You have first a beak and a hook. That's the lift lock system. You lift it to unlock it. It's articulated. That's your first lock. This is your second lock. And of course, there's that little kerf underneath the crown so you can dig your nail in. Ever rose red gold for the clasp and the case. Rolex has its own foundry. It makes its own cases, clasps, and bracelets, so they have their own alloys as well. And this is a 5N high copper content red gold that also has a high platinum content, which is why Rolex calls it ever rose, meaning it will not fade over time. It will remain intense and red. The case has a lovely fluid form to it, tapered lugs polished on their tops as well as the side. You can see you've got that rounded tumble home to the case, very much unlike what you'll find on the Explorer 2s, the Sea Dwellers, the Subs, and the GMTs. Screw down crowns. We actually have a trip lock crown here, which is uncommon on a 100-meter Rolex, but you will note that the trip lock crown is present, suggesting that this watch is actually more water resistant than its stated 100 meters. I'm not making any promises, but when you see the trip lock, which in gold is 2 small dots with a large center, you generally expect to see it on some sort of Sea Dweller or Submariner. So this watch probably punching above its ratings in terms of actual water resistance. The bezel, as has been the case on many precious metal Daytonas since 2011, it is ceramic, scratch resistant and black. The little recesses are filled with deposits of rose gold, so they will never tarnish or oxidize. It is a tachymeter scale, and you can choose whether you're measuring miles per hour or kilometers, your choice, but you gauge the speed of an object using the chronograph and a tachymeter. That's what a tachymeter does. It measures speed. The dial features a black base with a lovely gilt rose gold print. We have rose gold sub-registers with concentric patterns inboard and polished chapter rings. The dial features that little red Daytona underneath the hands center. All of this is loomed, and if you look very carefully, you can see on these in-house caliber Daytonas, the centers of the chronograph minutes and hours are slightly above the Canon pinion at center. You'll also appreciate the fact that this watch has hacking or stop seconds and a manufacturer Rolex movement inside all hands indices and Rolex crown on the dial side, or 18 karat gold to resist tarnishing or oxidizing over time. The movement, 44 jewels, automatic winding, bidirectional, one of the first modern Rolex movements to use a rotor bearing for greater shock resistance than the old jeweled staff. This is caliber 4130. 72-hour automatic winding power reserve, stop seconds, Chronometer certified, but Rolex goes above and beyond, taking the COSC certified movement, casing it up, testing it in 6 positions, and making sure it will run no worse than +2 - 2 seconds per 24 hours when it leaves the factory. That is the basis for that term superlative chronometer since 2015. Now, it has an overcoil hairspring made by hand with a brigade profile that allows it to keep even time in every position. And for shock tolerance, in addition to the rotor bearing, we have a full balance bridge with a free sprung index. We also have an anti-magnetic parachrom blue oxidized niobium zirconium alloy for that hairspring, making the watch highly anti-magnetic as it beats away at 8 beats per second. It is a very special movement that uses a vertical clutch and a column wheel. The column wheel for crisp actuation. It sounds good, it feels good. The vertical clutch allowing you to engage the seconds hand with 0 jump or stagger, and furthermore allowing you to keep the chronograph running with no additional wear, tear, or hazard to the movement. With the vertical clutch, you can run the chronograph full time if you so choose. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details. Back with the Ever Rose Daytona in the dark.